it's crazy how many doors that open up.
So the big question is, what are the top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams, and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? If you ever thought about this, you're not alone. No one has been able to get the answers until now.
We spent the last few years helping agents sell billions in real estate, rubbing shoulders with top producers, which got us thinking, how can we expose more people to these insights to help raise the standard in the whole real estate industry? We then realized that we could help bridge the gap by getting the secrets from the best of the best so that you can succeed. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Elite Agent Secrets.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Elite Agent Secrets. Today we've got Shane Voth with us. He is the coach for double your income coaching and how to get listings from landlords. He's a top producing agent and he used to be part of the number one team at the number one REMAX office in the world. He's pretty insane. And today's topics, I think the way you sum them up is we're going to talk about real shit today. So we're going to talk about the changing world of real estate. We're going to talk about why he left the number one team at REMAX. And ultimately, staying sober in this stressful world of real estate. So this is a little bit different, and I think this is really going to resonate with some of you guys listening here, where it's life. It's kind of it's life choices amongst this stressful and crazy world of real estate. So Shane, thank you for coming on with us and willing to share your story. I'm sure we're going to get deep on some different personal stuff today as well, which is kind of exciting because it doesn't happen a lot, and so I'm really thankful that you're willing to share with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
But Shane, some of these topics are pretty freaking bold, right?
Yeah.
But I think none of this makes sense unless we get a little bit of context. So take us back to, first of all, where you started, so then we can follow you along with the journey, because some of us are going to be hearing it for the first time, me included.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so originally I was in construction. I've always been around the home industry. Had a real love for construction. From there, I moved into being a mortgage broker. I was the world's worst mortgage broker. I almost cost Brad, who a lot of money because I was a terrible mortgage broker. I loved meeting with people, but that paperwork side of thing was not for me. But I then moved on from that into real estate and really found a niche that I loved. I was able to integrate my background of construction. Understanding the finance part was very helpful for being a realtor, but having that base on construction helped a lot with what I do now and finding a niche that I'm so excited to do what I do every day. Honestly, I never sleep in. It's always I'm up because I've just got goals I want to hit. I've got stuff I want to do. I love doing it. And so I'm always at it right away. I've always had that attitude that in real estate, I think you have to have this, that basically you wake up in the morning, you don't have a job until you start calling people and getting after it. It's not like when you have maybe an office job and you're like, well, today I'm going to half-ass it. Maybe I'll come in a little late. Maybe I'll do this. I won't really do what I said I was going to do today. When you're a realtor and you rely on commission checks, every day I wake up, it was like, I don't have a job. I need to get after it and I need to figure out a way to make money. And that's why I've always been able to, I guess, to be successful fairly quickly, because I wasn't just relaxing, waiting for things to come together. It was like a hustle mentality.
You find that commission only really motivates you because it's like, listen, I've got to wake up because I've got to collect a check. I've got to find a way to make that money. There ain't no base pay around here. Is that?
Yeah, I never had a salary or like a job, like a part-time. When I started real estate, it was like, I'm doing this full time, and I had moved to a new city, didn't really know anyone. We had 2 kids. My wife was trying to start a business as well at the same time. And so it was like, there was no fallback of, well, I'll just dabble for a bit, right? It was like, no, okay. I gotta crush this right away in order to do it. And we were talking before the show about 6 figures as a realtor. I mean, with the expenses and the way we do it, I mean, you really need to strive for making at least 6 figures, because
Yeah.
The amount of effort that goes into this and the hours that you're on call and just the stress of it, it's like, you got to make it worthwhile. And, I've been fortunate enough to be able to make this a full-time thing for myself right out of the gates. But I would say, I always tell people real estate is a job. It's a fun job. It's a job that I love, but it's not the kind of job where, some people think they get in real estate and they're going to wake up in the morning. I'll go to the gym for a bit, get to the office around 11. I'll talk to some people around the water cooler. Then I'll go for lunch with some people and, my phone's just going to ring and I'll be successful. And it's like, I've seen so many people try to run businesses that way and they exit the industry because they're like, I wasn't doing enough deals. And it's like, no, because if you were being paid by an hour of what you actually worked that day, yeah, you earned about what you worked, which was not very much. Right.
Right. It's that like, it's because they're just getting paid per hour. And it's like, well, if I can waste hours and I'm still getting paid. I mean, listen, like I've worked in jobs as well that I hated. I've done that, way back when, it's like, I've just got to get through the day and just like waste time because you just hate it. You got not motivated at all. And it's hard, but I want to dive into the niche you touched on. You were like, I found my niche that I loved. What was it? What was the one where you kind of got into it?
In my market, there's a certain product that builders build called infills. Basically, they take an old house, some built 70 years or so ago, they tear it down and they build 2 homes on that lot. And so my real niche is I find these builders the land that they're looking for, and then I market the new builds that they sell. And so, for a couple of years, honestly, I had to eat shit. It was hard. It's not easy. It's not relying on the MLS. Like everything I do is almost off market. I'm having to really work to find the deals. It's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding because I get to sell the land to them. Plus I get 2 listings. My average listing price right now is usually around 1.1, 1.2 million. Because these are, I think my lowest price listing right now is just over 900. Right. So it's a higher end product as well. So it's worth it, but it's tough to get in. But when our market sucked for a while too, by the way, like we were pretty reliant on oil for a while, things like that. And when the market went down, like it was really tough. And I got to a point where I was like, I don't know, maybe I got to look at trying to work with buyers. Maybe we should start doing some internet leads. Maybe I should do stuff. I was really questioning what I was doing. But I look back and I'm like, I've spent like 2 years, like painfully working on this. Like I'm not going to give up now. And so I kept working, doubled down on it, worked even harder when it was tough. And when things rebounded, it was like the floodgates opened. And all of a sudden I was just known in my area. Like Brad will lovingly call me the land whisperer, people, because they're just like, how does he find these things? Right. And, it's a lot of work, but it's a niche that I found really worth it. But it's one where you have to put in a ton of time before it starts to pay off. Like,
So Shane, like, how did you find this to be your niche? Like what drew you in? Because you basically are trying to talk us out of it going after it. Like it's hard, it's a high price point, but there's a lot of money if you can break into it. Like I ate shit for a while. So like at what point were you like, fuck, am I actually doing the right thing by going after this? Like when does my luck, quote unquote, change so I can get moving and start making some money and have it coming in?
For me, it was...
I want to just tag on to the back of that question, which it goes hand in hand, which is also like, what was motivating you through 2 years? So Peter's question plus add mine on it. They coincide, I feel like, because that's what I'm curious. Like 2 years is a long time of eating shit. And then there was something in your head that was driving you to be like, I'm not quitting. Like I've got this goal, like I'm doing it. So let's learn.
Yeah. So I guess, my construction background, I had an understanding for it. So I felt comfortable and I knew that I had an advantage over a lot of people that were trying to talk the lingo with the builders because I understood a lot of it. I knew a lot of their pains, right? But for me, it was that what I was doing was providing so much value that once people start to understand it, I knew that it would take off with them. It was just a matter of, one builder put it really good to me. He was like, honestly, he's like, I get called by realtors every day. He's like, every day someone calls, I want to sell your houses. I want to sell your houses. Well, of course you do. Like, they're $900 million houses, right? So he gets called all the time. He was like, I just thought you were just another asshole realtor, right? And that's the way people looked at it in the beginning,
great
right?
Fucking opinion. It's just another fucking realtor.
Yeah, right. And that's what he thought. He was, you're just another asshole realtor trying to call and make money off me. Once they started to see what I'd been working on for 2 years, it really started to open up for me. But it was what kept me going was that I knew that there was value there. I know that what I had spent time on was going to benefit a lot of people. It's just a matter of showing them over time because, I had so many builders just tell me, stop calling me. Brad always laughs because one of our big clients now, a builder, he sells about 15 homes a year, but it's 15 $1.1 million houses, right? That's plus I get land, it's a good book of business for me, right? And I was calling him and he one time, he's a very nice guy, but he was on a ski hill. He picked up the phone. He's like, look, Shane, he's like, you sound like a nice guy, but you need to fuck off. Like, I'm not going to work with you. Stop calling me. Like, just as politely as he could. And a couple days later, I called him again and he was like, you're unbelievable. He's like, I'll meet you. Like, you don't take no, I'll meet you. Right. And booked a meeting with him. He saw what we were doing and jumped in, and we've been working ever since. And that was the eating shit part for me. Was for a long time, they're just like, you're just another realtor. But when you're coming from a point of value, and that's the thing that I was doing, I wasn't just coming to them saying, hey, I want to put a sign in your yard. I was like, I've been working at finding you guys all this land. I've built all these systems. We have all this great stuff for you. I just need a chance to work with you. And once they saw that, it started to open up the floodgates. And I think that's important in real estate is finding a niche. Maybe it's not builders, whatever it is. Maybe it's, working with Facebook buyers, right? Whatever it is, I think you need to commit 100% to it because realtors do this all the time. They find something, it works, and then they never do it again. Yeah. It blows my mind.
So it's funny that you say this because we have few guests that we got on with, and whether their topic was finding a niche or not, every single, I would say a majority, a good portion for everybody who's listening. If you go through, if you haven't picked up on this, I don't know if you're actually listening, but everyone's saying you have to find a niche in one way or another. Like, find your thing that you will stick with for a long period of time and execute against it, and don't look for the next shiny object. And you just said it again. Like, if you find how to do Facebook leads, fuck off and just do Facebook leads. If you know how to find this land, go and find this land.
For context, so one of the guests we had on gets a 700, I love how specific it is, he gets a 756% ROI on his Facebook lead gen. He does over 100 deals a year, this guy, right? And he knows down to the dollar exactly how much and he's like, why do I do anything different? Facebook leads work really well. Like, and he's doing over north of 100 deals a year. And again, just for context, the people who's like, the guy does the 1.1, does about 15 a year. Even if he only got 3%, which I'm sure he probably gets more, but if he got 3% of those deals, he does $500,000 a year. Just for context for everyone listening, what would you do with 500 grand? Yeah. He probably does closer to 6%, but I'm pretty sure everyone could do those maths. I mean, this is what I mean. Finding your niche, running it like a business, these are huge. And I think you've got to find, it's got to be two things. I think you've got to enjoy it. And I think there's always pain. If you're selling stuff to people, there's always going to be pain. It's never going to be like sunshine and rainbows all the time. But the other thing is, it works. Just double down on what works. Like you said, it's so common. We hear people being like, oh yeah, I got something from like a Facebook group and now I'm doing like YouTube or TikTok. And you're like, why don't you just do more Facebook group stuff? And they're like, don't know. You're like, for fuck's sake. And they're like, oh yeah, maybe I do. And I'm like, yeah, maybe you should do that. So with you, it was obviously, I really like this strategy, by the way, because you're basically getting 3 deals per deal, because you get the land and you're then getting the 2 properties, and it's just compounds. And I bet now as well, I know you said you ate shit for 2 years, which I guess is super important for people to listen to, that now it's like, it's not that it's easy, but now you're like, I've got such good relationships with these builders, and a lot of them at this point, where it's like I have very stable income at this point in my life, where I'm like, I'm not worried during the pandemic type thing that I was going to go out of business. It's like we were making a lot of money and we had solid relationships we could rely on with trusted partners and purveyors and builders, that it was like, this is a fucking business. Like, I've now built a real business that sustains me.
Yeah, that's key, right? Is you build relationships. That's the business we're in, is relationships, right? And if you're able to build on to someone like that when times are tough, like you're going to find that loyalty when times are good, right? And that's the thing. Like when you get a customer and everything goes perfectly, a lot of times they're not even really your customer. When shit goes wrong and they still want to work with you, that's when you really have a client that's going to stick with you, right? And it's fun. Like I love what I do. It's exciting, and I get to be a little bit selective now. Like that's the difference, right? Is now I have the ability to turn things down that I don't want to take. Right. But it's still, I'm still running the business. I'm still the same kind of person where I don't take no for an answer. I love borderline. It's, like you have to be, you have to be obsessive. If you have a dream, like
go after it.
Society teaches you that obsessive is bad, right? I know like my daughter, she's now into sports, and she's got this attitude where like, she doesn't want to leave what she's doing. Like she just gets obsessed about it. And a lot of times people are like, don't, you're getting too obsessed. But you look at guys that are really, really successful, like they had to be obsessed. It's the only way that you're able to change things. If you give up the first time it gets hard, or I'm going to do this casually, you're not going to make any lasting difference in that industry, right? It's people that are obsessed, the ones that don't take no, the ones that, my youngest daughter is like the perfect example of whenever I feel like I should just take no from someone, I always picture her when I'm trying to say no, that I'm not going to give her $5 to take to the book fair, because she does not take no for an answer, right? It's just, well, are you going to give it to me? Are you going to give it to me? You're going to, like, till finally you're like, fine, like here, yes, you can have it.
Just take it. Just stop asking.
Just, okay, you win. Like you won, right? And I think about that a lot of times when I'm doing calls to new builders and things like that, is that like, would she give up if everything she wanted was on the other end of that phone? There's no way. She would just keep asking and asking until there was no other opportunity than them saying yes. And that's kind of attitude that I take. Like I honestly have to get to a bit of a dark place when I'm doing cold calling. Right. I'm not, I think most people are more driven by fear than they are by wanting something.
Oh,
and that's 100%. How I am. Like like I'm just in my mind when I'm like, if I don't make this call, I'm not gonna be able to do for my kids the things I want to do. I'm not gonna be able to have the life that I've promised I can bring them. Like, I have to finish these calls. Like I can't just not do it today. Right. But if you were from the mind of like, oh, I just want to make more money, you probably don't make the calls. Right.
No. It's not a motivator. I mean, we see this in business. So like I've run sales teams and stuff as well. And you say this about A players where it's like, let's say for an example, and a very good sales rep could earn 200 grand a year, 300 grand a year, which is a lot. And they're like, oh, this other business will pay you 400 or 500 grand a year. And they're like, no, I don't want to, because at a certain point, money just dissipates. Like, what's 100 grand going to do for them? In reality, I mean, I know for a lot of people that's a lot, but when you make 300 or 400 a year, an extra 100 doesn't actually really move the needle. Like, it's just not a big thing anymore. But with that being said, I want to dive into your first topic, because I think these coincide nicely, which is like the changing world or the changing business of real estate, you know, as an industry. So unpack what you mean by that.
Yeah, well, I mean, for a long time, it seemed like real estate was kind of on cruise control with some of the big brokerages. It was, you know, you kind of had no choice, especially in my marketplace. Like, REMAX sold over 50% of the homes in my area, right? And so you were like, oh, the whole goal was to end up at REMAX, right? You're like, once I'm there, I've made it, right? And then when you get there, we're like, well, we want to be the number one team, right? And so you work your ass off to get that. But then you get that and you're like, well, what's next, right? We've already conquered that, right? And you start going like, what am I, you know, you're always chasing something, right? And I started to realize that I don't want to chase that. Like, I want more to be present with what I have going on now. I want to help more people. I want to have these relationships more, because like at this point, like the sales are coming for me. And I started to realize like, I just want to put value out there, because I know that my business is going to take care of itself if I continue to put value out there. But I wanted to find a way to get in and help more people, because I did feel like where I was at was, you know, okay, we were the number one team, but what do? Next year, repeat? Okay, we did that. But then, you know, what are you doing next with it, right? And that's where, like, we were fortunate enough to fall onto the EXP platform. And, you know, it's been fantastic so far, because it's just allowed us to take what we're doing and bring it to more people and show them how we were successful and be able to help them. And that's really exciting to me, is that you and I can interact like this. We can learn from each other. You don't have to just be around the same people all the time at the same place. You get to go out and meet so many new people this way. You know, the virtual, you know, that's one thing with COVID, that it's crazy how many doors that open up. As bad as it was, like, I'm not going to say it was a positive thing overall, but if you look at the things that grew out of it, it's insane. Some of the technologies and the way we interact with each other, that it's, when things go back to normal, they're not going back to normal as in everyone's going to go back to brick and mortar. Like, it's different now, because we've learned that there's advantages. There's great things about being able to interact with people that are in different parts of the world and have completely different backgrounds, because it just opens your eyes. And
so many doors have opened. I mean, for anyone listening that it doesn't know, all of us here are all at EXP. We're actually all part of the same organization. But the power is, like, we all joined for the same reason. One, we're all independent top producers. Like, irrespective of like what we do, we all produce, right? And one thing that I think, you know, I'm not sure if you would agree, one thing I've seen is all the whole one of the big things that people moan about with EXP, which also kind of isn't true anymore, which is about the whole in-person office thing, because actually now the brokers in the local areas own the offices, so they do have them. It's EXP doesn't own them. Anyway, the big thing is that all the top producers, they don't use those facilities because they're top producers. They just go out and crush it, right? So, like, irrespective of what brokerage they're at, they are top producers, because it's their mindset, it's their mentality, it's their actions, it's their work ethic. Every day they go out and they just hustle. It's so, like, there is fundamentally more advantages now, in my opinion, I'm sure in yours as well, that it's like, when you're a top producer, when you're going out and you're crushing it in business, and like you treat this as like a really big business, like EXP just provides so much more that no one else does. Like it's not even close, in my opinion. Like it genuine. I know other people are trying, but there's Uber and then there's Lyft. Like Lyft might do a great job, sure, but it's never going to take the same market share as Uber. Uber was there first, right? So there's all these other people trying to take a little bit. I think what's interesting now is, like you said, all three of us are in different countries, and yet all of us share tactics and strategies that work for us, and we all benefit each other in an extremely positive way. I've absolutely never found a company where people actively pursue helping the other people in the business off their own back. Like they'll be like, hey, can I help you out? Oh, I'm doing this. I'm happy to help you if you need it. Jump on a call. You need a document, you need a presentation, you need anything. It's like, here it is. It's not like, no, it's mine, I'm going to keep it. Because like the beauty of this is, one, we're all in different markets a lot of the time. And even if we're not, I find people that we're with have a hugely abundant mindset, more than anywhere else I've ever been. Like people are just like, this is a big old world. Like, sure, I'll help you out,
Yeah, that was the big thing for me. Like this, just everyone having this growth mentality that 100%. They're just sharing. Because when I actually typed up an email. I wasn't going to come over to EXP. I was so scared. I was like, I can't lose the balloon. It's like, this is why people use me. Right. And, I got over that, and when I switched over, it was crazy how much more I was able to do because of coming to EXP. But I just love that everyone wants to share. I know in my marketplace, when I was at the other brokerage, like, and as soon as I started moving into people's territory, like they got super aggressive about, this, putting up their board, like, this is mine. Like,
yep.
No, right. And come to EXP and it's like,
it's the opposite.
They just know that there's so much business out there for good agents. Yep. Like people say like, oh, is your area too saturated with agents? Not good ones. It's never oversaturated with good agents. You can always find room in real estate for a good realtor or a great realtor. That's the way the EXP looks at it. And our company is stronger by showing everyone to be better, because the brand is better if we're all being successful.
Right.
It's worth more too. Our stocks are worth more. Our revenue share is worth more. It's like you're now part owner in a company. You want it to be successful. I mean, we've seen that in how many other businesses where they start offering that the employees are also owners in the company. And you see like, oh my God, wow, they're producing more in the same amount of time. Well, no shit. Like, of course they are. They see that there's more than just being an employee. They see the benefit of, going that extra mile, helping that extra customer, doing that extra thing, because even if they're not going to make money from it there,
the company grows and they make money.
The company grows, they make more money. Like it's
correct.
And that's going to take care of itself.
This is huge,
by helping people.
This is what people don't understand. I'm super passionate about this because I wholeheartedly believe in what we're doing here. Like, I think it's a phenomenal thing. And I totally agree with what you said. It's like, I've never been somewhere before where everyone is just so willing to help, like ever. And like, I've been a part of a lot of businesses, I've ran them. I've been, I've got extremely successful friends who run huge companies. And it's like, you are totally right. It's that dog eat dog. Like, you come into my zone, fucking hate you, go away, like go do something else. And now it's like, actually, because I co-own this company with you, I might not get paid directly. But then again, if you're part of an amazing organization, which we are, like, and depending on where you sit in it, you also do get a percentage of the transaction. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it really does benefit you. And I think it's just, there is sadly a fundamental misunderstanding. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode. Now, before you go, we're giving access to a private training we did where we revealed the top 3 niches to get listings today completely for free. So if you want access, you can go and download that training at eliteagentsecrets.com. We're regularly releasing new trainings, guides, and cheat sheets, so make sure to head over to eliteagentsecrets.com and sign up so you don't miss out.